Hi everyone, it's Rachel back with the Shades of Orange. Today I want to do a quick review of a book that I just finished and absolutely loved. That of course is Stirring the Sheets by Chad Lutzke, which I received via the publisher Bloodshot Books. And this is actually a horror novella, so it's quite short. It's just over 100 pages, but despite that short length, there is so much packed into this little book, and I felt that it merited its own review video. I wanted to get it on more people's radar. So if you're not familiar with the premise, this book follows an older man named Emmett. He works in a funeral home, and his job involves preparing bodies for burial. One day, a body shows up that has a striking resemblance to his deceased wife. And because he really hasn't gotten over the loss of his spouse, he makes a very strange choice and decides to take that body home. And the story follows him taking that body home and having it with him to keep him company, and the story goes from there. I don't want to give away more of the story because it is such a short book, but wow, this book left such an impact on me. I will say that while I call this a horror book, it's not horror in the really traditional, stereotypical sense of the word. There's no monster jumping out of the closet. It's not really going to terrify you. If anything, more likely you are going to cry when you read this. I've heard this described as melancholy horror, and I think that's a really good definition for it. This book deals with themes of grief, of love and loss, and the challenges of getting older. I think that this book just has a lot of heart. If you're someone who goes into stories, whether it be horror or otherwise, looking for an emotional read, this is definitely one to pick up. I've often said that I'm actually not a very emotional reader. I tend to prefer my emotions staying out of my books, but this one worked for me. So even if you're like me and are kind of cold-hearted, this one did pull at my heartstrings. I didn't personally cry, but honestly, I don't really cry at any books, so that's just me. This book, it does have some elements of body horror because of the fact that he is preparing bodies for burial. You do get to see the process of making a body look lifelike again, and I found that really fascinating, learning how he sewed the mouth and all of that. But I know not everyone enjoys body horror, so I'll say that while it's in there, it's very sensitively done, so I don't think it will scare away anyone who doesn't really enjoy that subject matter. For me, it was just a bonus that it was in there. But if this is a book that sounds up your alley, I highly recommend checking it out for yourself. It's just so well done. Like I said, it is very short, but I read it very slowly, not because it was bad, by no means. I loved it, but I found myself wanting to savor every single sentence. Lutzke's prose are so good. They're simple and straightforward, but at the same time, I found them incredibly powerful. And I just wanted this book to last as long as possible, which says something because I have a really bad habit of just burning through books and speed reading, but this is one that I just wanted it to last so long. And while I say that, I do think it was a perfect length at a novella. So if you haven't picked it up, I encourage you to do so. It is definitely going to be one of my favorites of the year, and I absolutely loved it. So those are my quick thoughts on Stirring the Sheets. If you've already read it, I'd love for you to share your thoughts down below, as long, of course, as you keep them spoiler-free, or let me know if you're thinking about picking it up now that you've heard my thoughts on this. Thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.